We'll just wait a couple of moments just to make sure that you've got things sorted technically on your side. Just a few instructions about this session. It is a listen only session, so you should be able to hear and see the screen. Unfortunately, we're not allowing it to show to answer the questions. There's quite a large volume of people listening into this session. So if you do have a question, there is facility within the GoToWebinar to ask a question. My colleague Leslie Hill will endeavour to answer those questions during the session. If not, we will certainly follow up all your questions. We are recording the session, so we will make the session available to you. We'll send it or tell you where to download it from, so that you can view or refer to this later on. And the session should last really around about sort of 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to begin in a moment. So if you just make sure you've got yourselves comfortable. Got your glass of water, your cup of coffee. I know that quite a few people are not only listening individually, but also in a group situation, whereby potentially the meeting room with the screen and sharing this information, which I think is a really great use of time. So thank you very much for listening in. The reason for this session is, as you are well aware, the new version of Synergist, version 10.7, is now available. This new version has been developed by Synergist. There are a number of developments that are driven by client feedback. So it's really important, as you sort of report things to the help desk or via express systems, that your that feedback is listened to, it is noted, and potentially new features are developed based on your experiences and requests. And our guided preview today, presented by myself, Louise, Neil, many of you will know me already, and really it's our sort of interpretation of the highlights of version 10.7. There are a lot more developments included in 10.7 that I'm not going to go through today. There is, however, a training notes available, release notes, so that you can refer to those to get more information. So our super users invited onto this session, and we have a lot of active super users now, people who are telling us what they want, people who are interacting and thanking us and for receiving the spotlights and updates which we produce each month. We hope that you find those useful. And really, as a super user, we would hope that you would assess how this new version is going to impact on your organisation. What features might there be that actually you could utilise? And then we're hoping that you will be able to share that knowledge with other users internally. You know, Synergist is continually developing. There's lots of different areas and modules. So it's quite important that you continue to grow and utilise new areas of the system. And we hope that you're the platform to do that internally. So Express Systems really are, we are a separate company to Synergist. Synergist develop the software and answer your calls on the help desk. But really, Express Systems are providers of consultancy advice and training on your Synergist system. We know Synergist inside out. We know how you work, and we're speaking to lots of clients, and we can help you as you continue to grow. One of the areas that we're really developing is our remote training, and this will involve using the GoToMeeting tool, and it's really quite quite a good tool for us to be able to book in remote sessions, to be able to address some of your reporting or immediate needs where it goes over and beyond what the help desk can provide. Then potentially a chargeable remote training session could be quite a cost effective and quite an immediate way of being able to address a particular area. Obviously, we do provide the on-site training as well, and our clients tell us that having that additional refresher or investing in additional training can really help you maximise the use out of Synergist. Obviously, for Synergist licenses, but we also do provide a Synergist health check. Many of you will have had system health checks, and this really is where we sort of again use the GoToMeeting tool. We sort of click into your system and complete a little bit of a survey to see what areas you are using, what sort of things we think you're doing well, what sort of things we think you're not doing so well. We don't charge for these. We produce a report, and that really gives you a platform to start thinking about how you might want to improve your use of Synergist. So if you haven't had a system health check and you are interested in this, then please do let either Leslie or myself know, and we can see if we can get something booked in for you. So the new version 10.7, is available. It is included as part of your Synergist support contract. So for those of you with a 4D maintenance and support contract, then there would be no additional charge for this new version. You will be contacted to be upgraded onto this new version, and it'll be done at a point when your organisation is ready to have this upgrade. So it won't be one that just happens overnight and you didn't realise it was happening. It would need to be booked in via the help desk. This version 10.7 does include a new upgrade to 4D, which is the platform that Synergist operates on, and it needs a new upgrade. So for most users, that will mean a new shortcut on your desktop to access Synergist. So that's why it has to be booked in. There are full release notes on the Synergist website. They can be downloaded, a PDF document. They've got screenshots, and click here, click there instructions. And they do include not only the things I'm going to show you in this session, but also other areas that I've not included. So we're going to move away from the session now. I'm going to move away from the PowerPoint and go into and demonstrate. It is a live demonstration, so please forgive me, anything could happen. And we've got the first and the main area is the new web browser interface, where we've got an enhanced user interface, a long overdue development in Synergist. And it's going to be used by all web time and expense users and anybody who has a web portal license. And this would be a license to be able to use Synergist remotely and to be able to add jobs and purchase orders, to be able to create estimates and quotes, your invoicing, and also now the ability to access reporting. And a lot of you will already have that web portal license, but potentially not making full use of it. So the things that we're looking at in the web browser are the new menus, are the improved job list, enhanced searching facilities, the improved availability of reports. So I'm going to show you some different reports. And there is also, and I'm not going to give any details on this, but it is also possible to customize the web interface now with logos or colors and fonts. And this is something that that's included in the release notes. There's some instructions about what to do, and you would need to get your technical people to speak with the Synergist help desk to get more information on this. So it could be that could be a way forward for you with the web interface. Okay, so if I move away from this, there we go. I'll move away. Then I'll go in and show you then the new web interface. And if I just launch this from here, then it will launch the new menus and the new interface. So straight away it is possible to see that it looks different. So once the upgrade has happened, all your timesheet users will notice immediately that things have changed. You've got the ability to see that we've got new menu structures here, much more organized, much more logical, much more easy to be able to see. So this is obviously one sort of big change of sort of interface and the menus. Looking at the lists, then if I go into the job list here, you can see again it's much more sort of in line with the main 4D interface, and that you can see exactly and drill down to different jobs on your system, and you can see quite clearly is very much in keeping with the 4D. Now, if you do have a timesheet license, then you can have view access to jobs, just like I'm looking at now on the client list. So the web timesheet license will allow you view access. That web access or view access can be restricted. So if you don't want your timesheet users to see financial information, invoices, clients, contacts, then you can restrict them. If they can't see it at the moment, then they'll already be restricted. It's held in the file maintenance and users and user permissions. So you don't have to allow people to view. If you have got the web portal license, then within this view here, then you would be able to add new phases, to add on new phases here, to add estimates, to add quotes. And you can do pretty much all of your job related activities using this view. So the menus and the sorting and the looking for things are much sort of more logical. You've got the ability now to sort of type in a word on here and it will filter and find jobs of that particular type. You've got the little torch icon that you will be familiar with within the main system. Within the time interface, again, a little bit of an overhaul, not really changing the functionality, but it's just really about that interface. On the reporting side of things, then there have been enhancements on the reports. In order to view a report on the web portal, then you need to have the report saved as a user or company view on the main 4D system. So these ones here have been saved as views. Now, some reports that weren't available on the web portal are now available. So there's an increased list of types of reports. You can also make available reports on the data viewer, can now be viewed and scheduled. So that's a new development. But also the output of these reports. So if I select a report here, my opportunity billing forecast, we've got a selection of output methods. But if I say run this report, then I can actually view this report as part of my web interface. And this, if you're familiar with the data viewer, is a data viewer output here. So it's based on the billing plan value and how much you would be expecting to invoice in the next coming months. And so that's a new development to be able to see that report. So if you've got access to this via your web portal, then obviously you've got access to this type of information wherever you are. So really great enhancements in the web portal. So we're just going to launch a poll for you. So the polls we've got at various different points in this session, really for you to give us a little bit of feedback that we can give to Synergist as to what's your initial sort of experience or reaction to these developments? If you can select on one or more of those items, and we'll show you the results. Okay, most people have voted now. There we go. So we've got some good feedback there, people thinking that they are good features. Excellent. Okay, so moving forward then, some of the other areas are sort of smaller, minor enhancements. A lot of the development work has been on this web interface. There is now the ability on a timesheet. If you use the weekly timesheet, this view here where you've got the days of the week across the top and your jobs down the side, you've got the ability to enhance the buttons here to say change to a daily view or to go back to that weekly view, to make it a little bit more logical as to where you are. Now you can have your system set up so you default to this weekly view. Most people are using this, but just in case you're not, it is available. But when you go to the weekly view, it's quite good in the fact that when you log on to your timesheets, hopefully on a Monday, it will log on and put you into the current week. Now, unfortunately, in past releases of Synergist, or the release you're on at the moment, if it did default to next week and you hadn't posted last week's timesheets, which I'm sure none of you do, then it didn't remind you that you've got time on last week. So there now is a button here that appears that says post all previous. Now it's telling me I've got 5 entries. If I go back to last week, then I can see here that actually I posted my time on Friday, but not on any other part of the week, and I haven't actually filled all my timesheet in, but just as the example there, that I've got 5 entries last week. So I could go to last week and I could post them, or I could say, no, I'm happy with those, and I can post them from this week. And once they have been posted, then that button disappears. So it only appears if you have got some previous time on previous weeks that hasn't been posted. So for some of you, you may think, great, because you've fallen into that trap, but it really is just kind of picking up to catch out and stop that little thing happening. The expense entry is a new facility within expenses, and this one I think could be a great way forward within the expense entry. And you can record your expenses via the web interface, or you can do this via the main sort of 4D, and this feature is available in both systems. So when you do add on your expense entry for whatever particular entry it is, you've got the ability now to attach an image of your expense receipt. And this one here, I go through and select my expenses receipt. I've literally just taken a photograph of my expense receipt. These could be a scanned image, and that can be selected, and that can be attached to this expense item. And this would mean the digital version of your receipt is attached right the way through to finance, approving those expenses, checking that VAT. It means that there'll be a digital copy attached. Now this work really is sort of starting, has been done to feed into the new Synergist app. There is an app available at the moment. It's free if you have a timesheet license already, and it provides view access to activities, to clients, to jobs, to opportunities. However, the new version of this will allow remote entry via the app of timesheets and expenses, and including the ability to then use your iPhone to photograph that receipt and attach it to your expense entry, so that it can all be done from your iPhone or your iPad. Now, this is due out in the next 2 to 3 months. As soon as we know when it's available, you can be sure we'll be letting you know about it. It is only compatible with iPhone and iPad and not on Android or other devices. There are plans afoot that it will be developed into Android, but at the moment it is just iPhone and iPad. But again, I think a really great development to be able to record time and expenses remotely and on the go. So we'll just launch another poll for you there. And then we'll share that information with you. So it does look that post previous time might have been a little issue that people have fallen into in the past. Okay, so I'm going to move on now and look at an enhancement in the new business functionality. Synergist can be used to record new business opportunities or quote status jobs. But there are lots of other ways that you can use this opportunity information to report based on quoted figures or gross profit or expected billing. So there's lots of different ways, and this is not really a full session to show those to you, but you can see in my opportunities screen here lots of data populated with different items than perhaps you are all using. So we've got expected close dates. When do we think something might be promoted or be won? The pipeline stage, where in that sales process is a particular opportunity? Is it quite early stages, or is it something that's waiting for sort of final sign off? You've got weighted values. How likely do you think something is? And some companies report that we've got a 75% chance of winning something of 15,000, or they might report that as being a 75% weighting and it's 75% of the value. So some companies will use the weighting on values too. You've also got ratings as well as to showing things which are warm, hot or cold. You can change all these items to be red, amber, green or gold, silver, bronze, entirely up to you, but you can have some method of rating. And all of these are updated on the opportunities on the sales info tab. Now, I don't necessarily suggest that you would use all of these to track your opportunities because you'll spend too long trying to update everything, but there are certain areas that could be useful. Now, the development in Synergist is to do with the pipeline stage. A pipeline stage here, which can be changed. These are just a selection here. So where within that sales pipeline has this particular opportunity got to? Is it something which is just brand new and initial, or is it something that's sort of in those final stages? And the development really is to do with the fact that you can sort of have a look at and filter them by the date. So not just things at a particular stage, but really the things that have been updated. So out of all of the updates, these are the things that there has been some movement this month. So in managing and looking at things that are that where there has been movement, then we've got this ability to filter by the pipeline stage, but on basically on when it was updated. So going into this one and on that sales info tab, it tells me when this was changed. So it's telling me the date, and that's the part that can be reported on. So for those of you already using pipeline stages, then this will be useful. And I've set up that view by going into my date facility now, and we've got this new date facility here to say show things that have got a current pipeline stage in a particular date period. So it won't be useful for everybody, but for those of you who are using the new business, this could be something which is enhanced. Now we've also got in the reporting, we've got a new report mechanism inside the pipeline reports. We've got opportunity charts here. This chart has been enhanced. And there's also a new view of this, which I'm going to show you. But essentially, it's showing you all current open opportunities and the value of those opportunities that are at that particular pipeline stage. Now, there is a new chart in here called a funnel chart. If I click on this one, then it changes that view and shows it as by pipeline stage, but it's showing then the colours by what particular pipeline stage those opportunities have reached. And that could be based on the quoted value or the gross or net margin, or even by the number of opportunities. So again, could be quite useful. And again, just an enhancement of that reporting availability. So we're just going to launch another poll there relating to the sort of the new business side of things. We know that not everybody will use Synergist for new business, but it could, and it is a useful tool. Okay. Okay, so there's our poll feedback for you there. Right, so moving on, there is a facility, an enhancement that could be useful if you're using phase types. So if you've got jobs with multiple phases, and we've got phase types. Now, phase types, obviously, if you have got a job with lots of phases, then it can add a layer of complexity and mean that certain people might record things to the wrong place, and that certain people have to spend time moving them to the right place. There is a facility now to block costs by the phase type, so that we can say actually on this expenses type of phase, then no timesheets or purchase orders are allowed, only expenses. Or similarly, you could say actually I've got a production phase where we only allow purchase orders. So you can kind of drill down and lock down as to where people can record their particular types of costs. So pretty useful if you have got phase types, if you've got if you do have issues with people recording things in the wrong place. So that's something that we're useful. Another area that I'm going to look at is the the calendar bookings. The calendar bookings is the ability to drag and drop estimated time and book that onto a resource. Now, this is not a calendar booking session. This is the Synergist sort of scheduling tool. It's all working from estimated hours, and it gives you then all sorts of reporting to see what sort of availability people have, so that whether they're booked or whether they're green, they've got availability. So a very useful tool. It's on its 5th probably release, so really has been fine-tuned by users who are using Synergist and the user feedback that the help desk have received. Now, within that view, obviously this would be bookings for all clients, and you can have access to be booking or just to be viewing. The new development does allow a new filter to be applied, because this is all bookings across all particular clients and all jobs, but it does allow you to kind of filter down and say just filter it to one particular job or one particular client or even one particular phase. So I can now just see the bookings for that job. So as a handler looking at this, and you want to see where your job's booked in, then you could use this view. As somebody who is doing the booking, I think this is a very useful view, because it will still allow you to move those bookings. There is another view I'll refresh you on, but it does restrict. It's just a view only, but this one allows you to move the bookings against a different person, or move the bookings on a different day. So it's this enhancement. The new enhancement is this filter. As an account handler, then you have got the ability to select your jobs where you're the handler and say calendar those 6 jobs, so that you can view a group of those and see where your jobs have been booked in. Quite a useful tool to be able to manage that. Okay, so just a little bit of feedback there. Not everybody does use the calendar. More and more companies are, particularly those starting out with Synergist. It's a default module that people are using. It's not additionally charged, it's included as part of your Synergist system. Okay. So we will show you a couple more items, a couple of quickies. We've got on sales invoices, we've got something called a quick link. And this quick link is now held here. So if you're inside a particular invoice and you want to go and have a look at something on that client record, contact record, previous invoice, previous job, you've got a link here within that particular invoice to go back to the client record so that you can see previous invoices. So that quick link is available in the sales invoice. You've also got, this was one of our top tips on a previous month, you've also got that within a job record. You can go through and back up to the client level. Within a purchase order, again, you can go through and those quick links are held in the purchase order as well. So you can get back to the supplier, the job, or the client. So those, for me, you know, people who don't know that they're there, it's really sort of restricting your navigation. We've also got an enhancement in the tools and settings, company settings, to do with an alert. So sticking with invoicing, then we've got this alerts during invoice approval process, and this would send an email alert if your Synergist system is set up to do so. And this email alert would come through to your normal sort of inbox. If you're marked as an invoice approver, then you would get an alert to say that there is an invoice for you to approve. This alert's always been here, but it was a little bit alert happy, and then everybody got alerts about every invoice. So the development really is to say, actually just alert that client's handler. So on a client record, then you could set up your clients to have a default handler. So typically sort of account director level, meaning that anybody who's working on jobs for those clients and raising sales invoices, then the default handler on the client record would get the alerts to mark them as approved. So it could enhance your approval process. Okay, so nearly finished now. We'll move through to reporting enhancements. On the reports, we've got the ability to send a report, and I'm sure you've all done it when you've run a report and you click on a button and then it starts whirring away in the background and building that report, and it can take longer than you would like it to. You've now got this facility to say, generate and email this report to me. So you don't have to sit and wait for it to run. You can click on this button, it will just generate that invoice, that report, and it'll just email it to you once it's ready. So I think that's quite a new and good item, and that's available here and on the main on the web portal as well. So it does allow you to almost email me a report on demand. The data viewer has got a couple of new features as well. The data viewer, if you're not familiar with it, is a really good reporting tool. I can look at this report. I've created a report here called last quarter's turnover. And what it's done is it's actually set this, but it's got this preset date range. This is available in the standard reports. It's now available in the data viewer. And what it means is that you can always run this report of last quarter's turnover or last week's timesheets, and you don't have to fiddle around with the date range. It will always remember that date range. So that's a pretty good enhancement there. If we have got this report, if I just put this to a longer period, and if you're wanting to have your data set up over a longer period like this, where you've got lots of columns, and you might even have posted into here sort of job detail as well, it can give you then quite a long report. And as you're browsing through this to find something in a later month, then actually you've lost your detail just here. So there's a new development that does allow you to set a column lock. So similar to Excel, you can set that column lock, meaning that you can now just scroll through the data, but you've actually kept your header rows. So that, I think, makes things quite good to use. In the web portal view for reporting, as we said, we've got this ability to run some reports. If I do my report here, and this time if I do HTML but with a chart, I've got the email report, so that will email it on demand, or I can run that report on screen here. I not only get the column, but I also get quite a nice looking chart. Synergist has never been that good at charts, to be honest, but this version is making a pretty good attempt at producing some really nice looking charts. These charts can be exported. You'll see this little icon here, which allows you to download, print that chart. If I go back to one I prepared earlier, I've just pasted a couple of items there into a Word document, and I'm sure these are charts that could easily be presented as data in meetings that you wouldn't mind showing. Okay. I think we might have a poll. We've just got another poll there, and then we're just into the last sort of miscellaneous items. So I think there's some really good outputs there on reporting. Right, so last few miscellaneous items then I'll show you. We've got something on a phase level. Not everybody knows this is available, which is why I wanted to include it in this session, in the fact that when you have got a job record, you would potentially have a handler, job handler, phase handler, but you've also got this ability on a phase to have a phase owner. And that phase owner, it almost gives you really that opportunity to have a second name on that list. So it means that you could create a phase list based on filtering it by phase owner. And the development comes really in that ability to batch update and add a new phase owner. So this wasn't available before, but you've got the ability to add things on by phase owner. So it doesn't really necessarily sort of show in this list, but you've got the ability to update and then filter a list. So I wanted to bring it up because I think it could be something that people don't know about that could be useful, phase owner. There is the ability, and I'm not going to demonstrate this, but I know it could be useful for some people. In version 10.6, there was the ability to raise what was called a consolidated purchase order. And this is the ability to raise one PO number across multiple phases. Now, there is the ability to now raise one purchase order over multiple jobs. So if you wanted to order something from one supplier for multiple clients, they could just be sent one purchase order. So a multi-job PO. There are details in the release notes, or contact us if this is something that you would like more information on. Now I'm also going to show you an area the ability to produce a Gantt chart. This Gantt chart was available for PC users. It's available for everybody, so I've just gone from the job list and just said actions and Gantt, and you can do it across one or multiple jobs. Now the enhancement is the ability, for Mac users to export this to Excel. This wasn't previously available, and it was only available to a PC user. It's now available on a Mac. And I think that's a really great tool to be able to produce some sort of Gantt chart that you could use. I'm using the job here being a blue line, the phases being green lines, and these items here being stages. And there are ways that you can build in different sort of tasks that you might want to Gantt in Synergist. So again, that could be something you want some more information on. The Gantt chart is also available in the opportunities list as well. But this opportunities Gantt, there's a little bit of a change in the output there because it does now show you if it's opportunity and also that weighting. So it could be useful. Okay, so quite a lot to take in. As I said, we will show you that detail in a recording of this session. We'll trim it down so you can see the main points. But just really to to go over that again, we've got that web browser interface, the postal previous time, and the attaching of expense sheets, the enhanced new business functionality there, and those pipeline stages and that funnel chart. The ability to restrict the type of costs accorded against a phase type could be useful in helping your Synergist system remain cleansed. And then we've got that enhanced calendar view for booking and filtering tasks. The quick links on the invoices and those improved client handler alerts. And then those abilities to email a report on demand, the enhancements in the data viewer, and the availability of those reports and charts on the web portal. And then I went through some miscellaneous items there about that phase secondary owner, that multi-job PO. So thank you for listening in. As I said, everybody who has got a 4D maintenance and support contract, you will be contacted. The Synergists are rolling this out over the next 1, 2, 3 months, however long it takes them, because it does require input from the help desk for them to book an appointment to upgrade the server, and your IT people will need to be able to install new 4D client software. Then it is something which will take a little bit longer, and it is something that does need to be booked in. So you can't request for it to happen tomorrow. There's a little bit of a sort of a lead time as these are getting booked into the diary. If you do see something in there that is a feature that you really need, you can request directly with Synergist if you want to be upgraded, and they'll put you a little bit higher up the queue to be upgraded. But the release is out and companies are being upgraded on a rolling programme. So if there's any other information that is from the points that we've raised, then please let us know. We've got our phone number there and our client services email. Or you can email Leslie or myself, Louise, directly. So we hope you've got some useful pointers in that system, in that presentation, and thanks for taking the time to listen in, and we hope that you can share some of that information with other people in your organisation. Make sure you download the release notes though, because there are more things than I have covered in this session. Well, thank you very much. Have a nice Friday and a good weekend. Bye.